Imagine owning a Picasso worth $50 million. Now imagine never seeing it. Not once. It sits in a vault in Switzerland, in a building you'll never enter, gathering dust in the dark while you collect the tax savings. That's not a hypothetical. That's how the ultra-wealthy actually store art. Right now, in Geneva alone, there's an estimated $100 billion in art and valuables locked inside a single warehouse complex. Most of it will never hang on a wall. Most of it will never be seen by human eyes again. And the whole system, every locked door, every climate-controlled room, every piece gathering dust, was built exactly this way on purpose. Today, we're walking into the world of art freeports, the places where masterpieces go to disappear, where a Monet can sit for decades without anyone paying a cent in tax, where the super-rich don't buy art to look at it, they buy it to make it vanish. By the end, you'll understand why some of the world's most valuable paintings are rotting in. Storage while you're getting taxed on your morning coffee. Let's start with the Geneva Freeport. It's the oldest and largest facility of its kind on Earth. 150,000 square meters of warehouse space. That's bigger than 20 football fields, stacked floor to ceiling with crates you're not allowed. To open, the estimated value of everything inside? $100 billion. About 40% of that is fine art. Paintings, sculptures, things that belong in museums, sitting in boxes instead. Here's what makes a Freeport different from a normal warehouse. When you ship something into a country, you pay import tax, VAT duties. The bill adds up fast. But a Freeport sits in a legal gray zone. And technically, the art inside hasn't entered the country yet. It's in transit, permanently. You can store a Rembrandt there for 50 years, and as long as it never leaves the building, you never pay a cent. No import duties, no VAT, no sales tax, nothing. The system was originally designed for goods in actual transit, wine, electronics, things moving from port A to port B. But the ultra-wealthy spotted the loophole and drove a truck through it. Now it's not about transit, it's about parking wealth where no government can touch it. You buy a painting at auction in London for $30 million. If you take it home to New York, you're paying tax on $30 million. But if you send it straight to Geneva and leave it there, you pay zero. The painting sits in climate-controlled darkness. You own it. You just never see it. And every year it sits there, you're saving a fortune the rest of us are paying instead. Let's be honest about what's happening here. The people storing art in Freeports aren't doing it because they love Monet. They're doing it because art has become the new gold bar. In 2023, the global art market hit over $65 billion in sales. A huge chunk of that wasn't bought to hang in someone's living room. It was bought as a store of value, a way to protect wealth during economic downturns. Think about it like this. You've got $100 million sitting in a bank account. Inflation eats it. Currency fluctuates. Governments get nosy. But a Basquiat, that's portable wealth. It doesn't ping a tax authority's radar the way a wire transfer does. It doesn't lose value when your local currency crashes. And if you need to move money quietly across borders, a painting in a crate is a lot easier to explain than a suitcase full of cash. Here's the bit that should bother you. When you buy shares, there's a paper trail. Regulators can see it. When you buy property, it's registered. When you move large sums of money, banks report it. But when you buy a $50 million painting and lock it in a Freeport, it's just gone. No one knows who owns it. No one knows where it came from. No one's checking if the buyer is laundering money or dodging sanctions. The painting just sits there in the dark, quietly doing its job. The ultra-wealthy have figured out that art isn't about beauty anymore. It's about opacity. It's about owning something valuable that no one else can see, trace, or tax. And Freeports are the perfect hiding place. Geneva isn't alone. There are major Freeport facilities in Singapore and Delaware in the United States. Each one operates under slightly different rules, but the core promise is the same. Store your wealth here, and the taxman can't find it. Singapore's Freeport caters to Asia's ultra-rich. It's newer, shinier, and packed with art. From buyers who want to keep their purchases off the books, Delaware's facility does the same for Americans who'd rather not declare their war haul to the IRS. The whole network functions like a shadow art market, a parallel system where the super rich move. Masterpieces around the world without ever bringing them into daylight, and here's the kicker. Most of this art will never be seen again. It's not being stored temporarily while the owner renovates their mansion. It's being stored indefinitely, sometimes for decades, because the moment it leaves the Freeport and enters a country, the tax bill arrives. So it just stays, locked away, gathering dust, waiting for someone to sell it to the next billionaire, who will also never look at it. Let's sit with that for a second. Some of the greatest works of art ever created, pieces that should be in museums, pieces that define human culture, are sitting in a Swiss warehouse where absolutely no one can see them, not you, not students, not historians, just the billionaire's accountant checking the insurance paperwork once a year. The whole thing is perfectly legal. That's the part that gets me. Nobody's breaking the law here. The system was designed this way. Freeports were set up by governments who wanted to attract high-value storage business. They knew exactly what they were doing, and the result is $100 billion in art, locked away in the dark, doing nothing except helping rich people avoid taxes. Now, to be fair, this hasn't gone completely unnoticed. In recent years, Freeports have come under increasing scrutiny. Regulators are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Who actually owns this stuff? Where did the money come from? Is this facility being used to launder cash or dodge sanctions? In 2024 to 2026, the debate intensified. On one side, Freeport operators argue they're offering a legitimate service, security, discretion, and tax efficiency for high-value goods. They're not doing anything illegal. They're just providing climate-controlled storage in a tax-advantage zone. If billionaires want to use that to avoid taxes, well, that's between them and their government. On the other side, critics point out that Freeports are a black hole for transparency. No one knows what's inside. No one's checking if the art was purchased with clean money. No one's verifying that the painting allegedly sitting in Geneva actually exists. The whole system runs on trust and discretion, which is exactly what makes it useful for people who don't want their finances examined too closely. The phrase that keeps coming up is this: Freeports offer security, tax benefits, and discretion, while also facing scrutiny over their potential role in tax avoidance and illicit activity. That's the polite way of saying, yes, this helps people hide money, and yes, some of that money is probably dirty. But here's the thing. Even with all the scrutiny, nothing's really changed. The Freeports are still operating, the art's still sitting there, the tax savings are still piling up. Because at the end of the day, the people who benefit from this system are also the people who write the rules, and they're not in a hurry to close the loophole. So let's be honest about what this means for you. You're paying taxes on your salary, on your shopping, on your petrol, and on damn near everything you touch. Meanwhile, someone just stored a $50 million painting in a Swiss vault and paid nothing. Zero. They'll hold on to it for 20 years, sell it for $80 million, and still figure out a way to dodge most of the tax bill. That's not a glitch. It's the design. The ultra-wealthy have built a parallel system where their assets live in a tax-free twilight zone, while yours are taxed the moment you earn them. You can't store your salary in a Freeport. You can't park your savings in a legal gray area and wait for them to appreciate tax-free. Those tools are only available once you've already got more money than you know what to do with. And the art itself, it's rotting. Not literally, climate control keeps it safe. But culturally, it's gone, hidden, locked away from the world that should be seeing it. A Picasso that should be inspiring students is instead sitting in a crate in Delaware, doing absolutely nothing except saving some billionaire a few million in taxes. Here's the bottom line. There's $100 billion in art. Sitting in warehouses no one can enter. It's not there because people love art. It's there because the system lets the super rich hide wealth in plain sight, dodge taxes, and keep their finances invisible. The whole thing is legal, organized, and functioning exactly as intended. You'll never see that Monet. You'll never walk past that Rothko. It's locked in a vault in the dark, doing nothing but making someone richer while You keep paying your taxes like everyone else. That's money, actually.